Evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 2017 Town Board meeting called to order. First item on our agenda are going to be two public hearings, and then we'll move into the regular agenda items. First agenda public hearing is for Jennifer Lang certified conditional use permit for Granny's Bloomin' Onion food stand located in the northeast corner of Griffith Avenue and 8th Street, parcel number 07009A. CSM number 743, lot number 6 and 7, Peterson subdivision in part of southwest-southeast EXE of highway. Jennifer's here? Here she is. Hi. Guess we saw you last night, didn't we? Jennifer's looking to sell, I would guess, fair food would be the terminology primarily. Correct. At O'Connor's site, which is next to the Quick Trip. There's been provisions for health issues have been resolved with the county as far as where employees can wash hands, get clean, et cetera, et cetera. Is there anything else you want to add to that before we ask the public to speak?
No, I'm good with the county health department as well. I'm completely licensed with them.
Okay. All right. So the public hearing will go like this. I'll ask for those that wish to speak against it, if there are any, and then I'll ask the same thing for those that speak forward, if there are any. And then I'll call the public hearing closed, and then action will be taken once we get into the actual town board meeting. So at this time, is anybody wishing to speak against the conditional use permit for the Granny's Bloomin' Onions at the O'Connor area? Anybody wish to speak against? Third and final time, anybody wish to speak against the conditional use permit? Hearing none, I'll move to those wishing to speak in favor of. Go ahead for the record. Your name, sir?
Allen 5, 4631 Kellner Road. Any business is good business.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of? Go ahead, sir. Name for the record.
I'm Ron Het, 2521 Blueberry Lane. I don't see a downside to it, and I love bloomin' onions, so.
My kind of people.
All right. Anybody else wishing to speak? Go ahead, Mr. Bone.
Yeah, I guess I did a fire inspection on the trailer and stuff when I was there, and everything was in fine working order and met the fire codes, so I'm in favor of. Don't like the onions, but the rest of it's good. Personal preference.
We got other things.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else wishing to speak again? Excuse me. Third and final time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of. Hearing no more comments, I'll close this public hearing and move to the second public hearing. Second public hearing will be for Joel and Julie Llewellyn, 1221 Township Avenue, conditional use permit for J2 Catering, LLC, a mobile food vendor to sell at a location in Grand Rapids. They plan to be at 2500 48th Street South at least once a month. That would be directly to the south of us. So, are they here?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to this, Joel?
Just the original request was for various locations, as you know.
Right.
We were here last night, and we're told that if we had more than one location, we'd buy a permit for each location, which my concern about that was the ice cream truck that comes through. He's the same business, and he does.
Yep. Understand. Anybody wishing to speak against the mobile food vendor? Anybody wishing to speak against Joel and Julie Llewellyn, conditional use permit for mobile food vendor to set up at 2500 48th Street South? One more time, anybody wishing to speak against? Hearing none, those that wish to speak in favor of, anybody wishing to speak in favor of? Go ahead, Mr. By.
5. Allen 5, 4631 Kellner Road. I never know when I'm going to get hungry. I can't see a downside.
It's only once a month though, I think, right, Joe?
For now, yep.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of? Go ahead, Mr. Head.
2521 Blueberry Lane. I'd be in favor of it. I'm hoping for funnel cakes.
Could have them. Once in a while.
Anybody else wishing to speak, Mr. Mr. Bones, excuse me?
I guess same thing, when he was here, we did an inspection and stuff, very cooperative, and everything was fine with his setup, very professional.
And Mr. Bone back there?
They do excellent cooking. They do excellent cooking for one thing, so everybody's gonna be pleased with it. I guess if the ice cream truck doesn't need permits, then Joel and Julie shouldn't need a permit for each spot. So, I mean, if you do for one, you gotta do again, because, I mean, they sell various things, and it's only fair that if you're promoting one business, you shouldn't hinder that next business.
I understand. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of? One more time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of? Hearing none, call this public hearing closed, then we'll move to the Town Board regular agenda. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Those that wish to join us, please rise. If you may. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2, approval of agenda for the meeting. Any changes? Hearing none. Item 3, approved minutes of June 12th, Town Board Sanitary District Joint Meeting, and also June 13th, 2017 Town Board meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 12th and also the June 13th town board meeting.
Motion Patty, second. Dan? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Item 4 is our public comment period. People wishing to speak to the board are limited to 2 minutes each, with the public comment period not to exceed 30 minutes in length. Anybody wishing to speak this evening? Go ahead, Mr. Hatt again.
Arnie, I always appreciate a little bit of elaboration on the agenda items as you're going through it as you see fit. And thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I? I see one of the applicants is here for one of those, if he could speak at that.
At that, yes. No, at that time. At that time. It's fine with me. Anybody wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move into item number 5, monthly reports from departments. First on the order is Fire Chief Don Bowen.
Good evening, Town Board. We have a full house this evening. That's nice to see. For the fire department this week, or this month, we are at 43 staff members. We actually are losing a couple members. They found employment elsewhere and moved on. Various from one in-state and other ones moving out of state. So unfortunately, sometimes the job market in our area causes us to lose some of our volunteers. So anybody's interested, especially anybody that lives in Grand Rapids that's interested in getting on the fire department, would welcome stopping in and seeing us. The fire department this month responded to 22 calls for service. 16 of those were EMS calls. Of those 16, 3 of them were actually mutual aid calls out into the town of Grant. They have a first responder squad also struggling with numbers the same as a lot of departments are. So when they're not available, we get called upon to go out and assist on medical calls out in the town of Grant or wherever we get called to. We did have one hazmat call. It was kind of a different situation. It was, I think it was somebody that was hauling some drain oil over to our drain oil drop site over at the town garage. Unfortunately, the pails that they hauled the product in had some corrosive placards and stuff on them that make you not know what's in that chemical, and they fell out of the back of somebody's truck. So I guess I just urge people that if you're going to reuse jugs, make sure that you know what the product is in it. If they're using a jug that is typically produced a chemical, try to take the labeling and stuff off. It can really minimize the expenses that are potentially on cleanup and stuff like that for the municipality that can be suffered upon cleaning stuff up. So didn't end up being a big spill, but it was a little issue of determining what the product was. So other than that, we had 3 1050 motor vehicle accidents. None of them severe in our area. 2 false alarms. One was up in the village of Bearn, and the false alarm at Mid-State Tech again. They have a very accurate and sensitive alarm system there, and we're working on trying to minimize. Typically, a lot of times those are set off by contractors producing dust or different stuff that set off the sensors at their facilities. So we did respond to that along with City of Wisconsin Rapids and Bearn. Our training for the month, like you say, our first responders are going through their refresher classes to keep their licensure up. And the fire department will be back over at Mid-State Tech training at their training facility there. Anybody's never driven into the back corner, it's a wonderful tower and stuff that they put up back there, and they're gracious enough to let us use it anytime we want. So we'll be back over there next Monday. One of the things that we are doing this month is we're participating in cleaning up the Firefighters Memorial over on First Avenue. A lot of people utilize that park, especially prom time. It's proms, weddings, stuff like that. There's a lot of photography that occurs down there. There's a lot of maintenance that goes involved in keeping that up, the grounds work. Typically, fire departments from throughout the state take turns doing all the cleanup there, doing the lawn mowing, all the maintenance and stuff. So a couple weeks from now is our turn to go and do that. Like I say, there's departments come all the way up from Milwaukee, Green Bay, and keep that place as beautiful as it is. So if you ever get the opportunity, stop down there. It's a really neat thing. It draws a lot of people to our community, and it's something to be proud of. So we're going to go there and spruce it up a little bit. So. On the fire side, that was about the excitement for the month. Questions?
Any questions, Chief? Hearing none, you want to move to your safety report?
Safety department's been quieter yet.
Right.
Everybody's functioning well, not even a Band-Aid this month. So the crews, everybody, for what we do respond to, typically try to be as safe as we can. So happy to say that we had no, not even a first aid incident. So.
Okay. Any questions? If not, thank you very much. Move to Police Department report, Chief Mal Peterson.
Evening, everyone. Nice to see a full house. Okay. The Grand Rapids Police Department handled 404 calls for service during the month of June. This compared to 439 calls for service in June of 2016, about an 8% decrease in calls, and the town board has the breakdown of those calls. For the first 6 months of 2017, the Grand Rapids Police Department has handled 2,244 calls for service, which compares to 2,375 calls for service during the first 6 months of 2016. That's about a 5% decrease in calls so far for the year. Police Department issued 85 traffic citations, 10 municipal ordinance citations, and 45 written warnings during the month of June. On June 5th through the 9th, Sergeant Drinkwine, Officer Kubishik, and Officer Anderson attended crisis intervention training, CIT, at the Mid-State Technical College in Marshfield. CIT is a commonly community initiative to improve crisis interventions and teach law enforcement how to respond and successfully deal with individuals experiencing a mental health crisis. The course focuses on mental illness, de-escalation techniques, and community resources. All full-time Grand Rapids Police Department officers have completed this training, and hopefully we can get some of our part-timers trained here as they continue giving these classes in Wood County. On June 21st, Chairman Nystrom, Chief Bowen, and myself met with outgoing President Dr. Sue Bujek of Mid-State Technical College, and we were introduced to the new president, Shelley Mondyke, I believe it's pronounced. It was truly a pleasure meeting Dr. Mondyke, and we look forward to our continued cooperation and collaboration with Mid-State Technical College going forward. The Grand Rapids Police Auxiliary assisted with the 7th Annual Renaissance Race Against Cancer 5K Run Walk on Saturday, June 10th. And the auxiliary assisted with traffic control along the portion of the route that went through the town of Grand Rapids. Vehicles in the department are doing well, and again, please feel free to stop by anytime and stop and say hi, or if you have any concerns or questions.
Any questions of the chief?
Yes, did we get a copy of the report? I did not.
No, I'll have to get one from Lisa, I think we missed it.
I gave them to Lisa. I can get you a copy. I'm sorry, I gave them out. Lisa's been gone earlier this week now for training, so she may not have got them in the packet. I'm not sure.
You just put them up in our tray, we'll get
Yeah,
them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
that's good.
Okay.
So-
Thank you.
Any questions of the chief? Yes, Shirley?
Yeah, how did the fireworks violations go? I mean, sound like a war zone.
Okay, let me stop you right there, okay? Are you a veteran or ever served this country? You have? Okay. Have you ever served in a war zone or a combat zone? No. Okay. Then it's safe, having not had that experience, as far as I'm concerned, you have no standing in calling the town of Grand Rapids a war zone. No standing what to call. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
The chief has the floor, he's answering your
Okay.
question, please.
As far as I'm concerned, it's irresponsible and insulting to residents of the town of Grand Rapids and to the hardworking employees of this town for you to call the town of Grand Rapids a war zone. Okay? In addition, an insult to every veteran and service member who has ever fought and served in a combat zone or a war zone, because it minimizes the sacrifices they made while serving. Okay? So unless you have something...
Look, listen, I'm a 20-year veteran retired, and if anybody around here is has PTSD,
I totally understand. I'm a veteran too, Shirley.
this would be very...
I'm a veteran as well.
Please, this is not a two-way conversation.
So-
The chief is answering the question.
So unless you have something constructive to contribute to this discussion, I appreciate it if you would refrain from calling the town of Grand Rapids a war zone. Now, getting to your question, we handled 12 calls, fireworks calls, over a 5-day period. That's from July 1st to July 5th. 12 calls. Total calls was 72. So that's about 16%. Okay? Now, one citation was issued during that time frame. We also had a citation issued prior to that in June. 5 warnings were given out. 6 were unable to locate, and then 1 was, there was no violation found. So as far as your question, that's what we handled for fireworks in the town of Grand Rapids during a 5-day period, July 1st through the 5th.
Okay. Any other questions of the chief? Mr. Hatt?
You got the speed trailer set up and scattered around the township.
Yes.
How does that thing record? Can you give us any history on how, I mean?
I'd like to tell you I'd like to tell you that it's photographing everybody that's speeding. That's what I'd like to tell you. But it's just monitoring speeds, correct. Maybe at some point I'm not a big fan of citations being issued by cameras, okay? But this is more just, try to get your attention and more specifically to realize how fast you're going.
Yeah, and I guess where I was going with that, we got it set up in 45 and the predominant amount of traffic is going 55. It seems like that would be something good to know, but it doesn't record, so.
Unfortunately, it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, so you can get equipment like that, but they're very expensive.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Amy Cook, treasurer, do you want to just do it from here, Amy, or do you want to get
Sure,
up?
that would be wonderful.
All right. So,
For the month of June, current receipts were
$57,742, and current month disbursements were $209,595. Cash on hand at the end of the month was $854,741, with $105,914 in checking, $461,531 in the repo account, and $315,822 in the money market.
Any questions? Thank you very much. In case you haven't noticed, our clerk is missing this evening. She's at educational classes, I believe, over Green Bay,
Yes.
and texting back and forth and saying it's tough.
Days, yeah.
Long days. So Amy has been filling in and doing a good job. Move to item number 6, which is a resolution for Jennifer Lang, the conditional use permit Granny's Bloomin' Onions, resolution 2017-20, for the parcel that is located at the O'Connor property, parcel number 07009A. Board members, there's any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2017-20 for Jennifer Lane.
Motion by Bill, second by
I'll second.
Kathy. Again, more discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, Joel and Julie Llewellyn, J2 Catering, mobile food vendor truck to be located at Dean Ramsden property at 2500 48th Street South, once a month. We need to amend the original document that you have, and Patty has the language to amend it. The issue was, and maybe I can speak to Ron's question that he had as to why it wasn't licensed like dilly wagons or whatever. Actually, we haven't licensed any of them for many years and expected they probably just run without them. But our ordinance doesn't allow for it. It's specific to where the site is going to be. As I indicated to Joel that evening, the town board has been working with our attorney, Nick Flanagan, who's here this evening with us, on a resolution to that question to make it much more easier for a business to get a business use permit that would allow this type of things rather than going through several steps of town board, planning commission, and final approved meetings at hopefully at a less cost to them. And the town recognizes the value of businesses in the town of Grand Rapids that are moving forward to looking at the various recommendations from other municipalities that already have this in place. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Go
may I
ahead.
ask a question before you make the amendment? And so I don't know if this is a question that maybe Patty could answer on behalf of Plan Commission or Nick or for our attorney, but in the zoning ordinance, where it refers to, I'm assuming the reference of the conditional use permit is where it states a conditional use permit may be allowed for seasonal roadside stands for the sale of food products? Is that where it was? So where in that statement, because it literally says seasonal roadside stands, plural, so to me, I interpret that as one conditional use permit for plural stands throughout the town. So could someone clarify to me why this was limited to one location?
the opinion of our planning commission chairman at that time from the county, Jason Grunberg, was that it had to be specifically identified as this parcel. So, and that's what we were looking at. Bill, was there any
I
comment?
have a question. If we're going to read an amendment to the motion, and we don't agree with the amendment, then does it go as it was, that it can go wherever they want, such as Supervisor just said? Because this is an amendment to what we have.
Amendment is saying that it's going to be at 2500 48th Street South. That's what the amendment is going to say.
And if we say no, then it can be anywhere.
I don't believe that we would, I'd have to ask our attorney. Would you have a quick opinion,
Well,
Nick?
I just say, why would it be in the hands of the attorney when the chairman of the committee, this was his opinion? And this is the way it come to it didn't come to our meeting with the opinion of the attorney.
No, it came from the commission's seat at that evening.
Mr. Chairman, I understand that process because that's usually how all of this works. We get a recommendation from the Plan Commission and we either go with that recommendation or not. My question along the same lines as Supervisor Clendenning, which is why I'm hoping maybe Nick could help clarify, is it, as the ordinance reads, is it legal? The recommendation coming to us is that it's limited to one location. If that amendment would fail, are we within our rights, as the ordinance reads, to allow it at various locations throughout the town?
Let me take a look at the ordinance, please. And I'll,
And one of the things too, last night, that was my question too, if we could do a blanket type of a motion to have all B1 or commercial areas and exclude residential for.
Good point.
Right. However, our chairman indicated that his interpretation of the chairman of the plan commission, his interpretation of the ordinance, which he's been on the plan commission for many years, indicated that it would have to be just one location at this time.
That's the understanding we had, and obviously we've had this item come up before in discussion. That's why I, 2 months ago, asked Nick to start the process to look for a business use permit, because we've had cumbersome events, even with our facility that is right next to us that has several offices in there. Every time he adds a new renter in there, he needs to go through a land use permit process, which goes through the plan commission, goes through everything, and it creates quite a snag on inefficiencies, and we needed to understand how we can modernize that ordinance to reflect what the wishes of the board are. Anything, Nick, yet?
I would just note that under the conditional use part of our ordinance, it does require the completion of all of the sections underneath that, one being the application, and it does say that application must show the location, size and shape of the lots involved. It does ask for some specificity, so I understand what Supervisor Alft is saying, but it looks like as part of the application there needs to be a little bit more specificity at this time. That doesn't mean that when we would look at a business use permit or some kind of different permit process, that might not be changed. But as our ordinance reads today, it does look like there needs to be some specific nature to the location to which the activity would be taking place.
Does that answer your question, Bill?
Okay, so it's that location.
We haven't even had
No.
I was just talking about the amendment to the motion, and it's,
Use the
And now
right-
there's
It
clarification.
answers my question for clarification of that amendment.
I guess mine, not mine. Just because, so he'd have to list all the locations that he had planned on putting on food truck at, correct?
Yeah, and at the time of the meeting, he didn't have any others that he was specifically going to say, because he had not made contact with any others. Is that correct, Joel?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, in the future, I'm hoping to be Mid-State Tech, fundraiser things at United
Yeah.
Events possibly.
Sure.
So,
Understand. So I guess what our thought was here is that the only way we can actually keep him moving forward to get him started, rather than dragging him on for another month or so, is to amend the ordinance for this one particular location and, amend our resolution to identify this one particular location, get him going, and then see what else we can do for our steps.
So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 2017-22 regarding Joel and Julie Llewellyn, J2 Catering Motor Vendor Food Truck, that it was recommended by the Plan Commission that the town approve the conditional use permit for Joel and Julie to sell at 2500 48th Street South in the town of Grand Rapids.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded. Vote on the motion amendment.
Before you call for the vote, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I just want to state that I will vote in favor because I do want him to continue to move forward with this. I don't want to hold him up, but I do think that a business use then permit is in order, and we need to move sooner rather than later on this. And I would hope that if that comes down the road, maybe we can consider any current conditional use permits such as this, if legally possible, to be included or grandfathered or something.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
All right, I'm going to vote no, because I think we could do that tonight. We could name other locations. So I'll be voting no on the amendment.
Understand? Okay. We'll vote on the amendment. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? One opposed. Okay, now we'll vote on Resolution 2022 to approve it with the amendment. Any other discussion? Although we've had it already. Anything else? Go ahead, Dan, one more.
Thing I hope, like I said, we can push this along quickly with through legislation, and I know it's more meetings, but to get them cleared up, and also that we look at making it as user-friendly to all businesses, especially these guys.
Okay. Resolution 2022 has been motioned and seconded as amended. All in favor say aye. I'm an aye. Unanimous. Okay, item 7 is off the table. Did I do 6? I did 6, right? Okay. I didn't check it off. Second guessing myself. That never happens, right? Okay, we're moving to item 8, Resolution 2017-21. Todd and Sharon Farmer request approval of CSM splitting 15.4 acre parcel into 3 lots. Parcel 0700770 being part of Lot 1, Wood County Survey Maps, number 9511, located part of Northwest 1/4, Southwest 1/4, Section 26, Town of Grand Rapids. Been recommended and approved by the Planning Commission to approve the pre-preliminary plot design. As of this morning, we did receive the actual certified survey map in discussion with Jason Grunberg as to steps. He said if it was substantially the same as what the Plan Commission approved, he thought it was okay to approve it. Attorney Nick Flanagan echoed those sentiments. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, I did take a look at the CSM. It does appear to be substantially similar to the, I believe it's preliminary lot layout that the Plan Commission had reviewed. I would note that under 51, Ordinance 51, specifically 51.7 is where we'd be looking. It does say that a CSM would have to come in front of the Plan Commission. So I would only ask those that were there yesterday evening to maybe let me know what was the action that was taken or recommendation that came from the Plan Commission at that meeting.
Let's see, I made the motion to accept the, let me see, I made the motion to accept the certified survey map.
It wasn't a certified survey map at
Yep.
that time. Preliminary.
Right, it wasn't. However, I do believe that I said the certified survey map for the recommendation to the town. Because I read it off exactly as written on the Plan Commission meeting notice, and that's what it indicates.
So I would have a concern with the fact that the Plan Commission didn't see a CSM yet. You have it now, but the Plan Commission hadn't had a chance to review it. It does look to be very similar, but the Plan Commission hadn't seen it, and so wouldn't have had the ability to review it before making such a motion. So if I'm to give you a recommendation, it would be that it go back to the Plan Commission under those circumstances.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead. Mr. Elk?
If it goes back to the Plan Commission, Attorney Flanagan, is this something that we could make a motion to approve contingent on approval of the Plan Commission? Because they will meet potentially in another couple of weeks, and we may not meet for another 4 weeks.
Are there road or any other dedications in that CSM?
Yes, there's 7 foot on the 48th Street side, correct, Todd?
Yes.
And Whitrock? There's some on Whitrock too? Go ahead.
The chairman of the committee did say, because he works for the county, did say, this can't be a CM, a certified survey map, because it hasn't come through the county yet. So I thought.
Might I ask you when you had that conversation with him?
No, he stated that. No,
But-
wait.
Then I talked to him this morning
Oh.
when we received, we were knowing that it was coming to us. And I said, do you need to see this and can you act on this, or would you need time to act on it? He says, in some cases, the county doesn't see it till after the town
Right,
board
right.
acts on it. So he said the town board could act on it prior to the county actually having it.
Yes, that's.
Because he actually wants the chairman's signatures on it, is one of the things he's looking for.
And Supervisor Alta, to answer your question under, it'd be 51.7 G, you could conditionally approve it based on the Plan Commission's recommendations. So if you want to approve it conditionally tonight, but I do recommend that it goes to the Plan Commission first, given the information that's been presented tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2017-21, approval of the CSM splitting the 15.14 acre parcel contingent upon recommendation by the Plan Commission of their review of the CSM.
I'll second that.
Motion Kathy, second Dan.
Yep.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Okay, I guess we'll get it back to town boards approved it, we'll sign off on it as soon as we can, and get the plan commission to do the same.
Mr. Chairman, do I have to facilitate that, or is that something you?
I will take care of getting that facilitated for you.
Thank
Okay?
you. Right.
Okay, you're welcome. We're looking forward to 3 new homes there, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, item 9, approval of resolution 2017-23 to amend ordinance 2, which is our regulating and burning permits, to remove the restriction for burning on Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays and holidays, I'm sorry. I knew what I meant to say. And again, there is a error on the resolution that you have in front of you. We're going to have to offer an amendment to it. There is the item in 2.4, the second paragraph. The last sentence was supposed to be removed, which says all burning is prohibited on Saturday and Sundays and legal holidays.
Right.
So I would suggest that we offer a resolution amendment that removes that sentence.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for the amendment to resolution 2017-23 to remove the sentence, all burning is prohibited on Sunday and legal holidays.
I'll second.
Motion Dan, second Patty, discussion? Hearing none, voting on the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm aye, any opposed? No opposed. Motion to approve the resolution as amended, made by Dan, second by
Patty?
Patty. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Bill?
I'll be voting no against this. I think burning on Sundays and holidays gives people in these subdivisions a chance to sit out during the burning season and not have to smell somebody else's smoke. And I think this just encourages burning. It's, you know, you can burn 6 days a week, but you can't burn that 7th day. And what they will be burning should be burned probably anyway.
Have somebody
That
burning.
does not prevent people from having a pit. I'll be voting yes.
Campfire. Okay, thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution as amended, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? One opposed. Thank you.
Just one comment about that, wasn't that sentence removed, just so that we mimicked more of the DNR?
That's correct. It was to follow the DNR's permit, which we hand out or is available online.
Okay, thank you.
Item 10, approval of resolution 2017-24 to amend ordinance 3, regulating solid waste and recycling to add composting language. I guess I won't go through all the amendments to it. It's quite lengthy and changed, but it primarily identifies what composting is and encourages composting in several languages as to what can be composted, what can't be composted, and et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to make the comment to the town board that 2 areas were changed from the legislative committee meeting. One of those is the addition of the definition of compost bin. That was a discussion at the legislative committee that is put in under G. And then the second adjustment would be under 3.26 composting ingredients. That was updated to be now taken directly from the DNR guidelines. And then those guidelines were published this year. Specific citation would be PUB WA 072, which we had reviewed at the legislative committee. So that both of those areas have been updated.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on it, or a motion to come forward?
Is the numbering on this correct, or will we just make sure that it's correct? Oh, never mind, I see it, it's there. We're good.
Okay, motion to come forward?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance number 3 regulating solid waste and recycling, the resolution to amend the ordinance.
Resolution 2017-24, motion by Kathy, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Dan, any further discussion?
Yes, I will be voting no against this. I think we spent too much time and money wasting on compost ordinance because one person in the town didn't like the smell of his neighbors. And that could have been a nuisance ordinance, and it could have been corrected that way. But we're going all through this, and I think it's ridiculous. I'm voting no.
Thank you for your comment, Bill. Anybody else? Patty?
And I'm also going to be voting no on it only because of the fact that I don't believe that a bin is required for composting. I think it makes it difficult to aerate composting, so I'm voting no against it for
Okay.
that reason.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. It'd be interesting if both of those comments had been shared during the legislative meeting. It would have been helpful to us as we
And I
define.
did, I did mine, and it just, I agreed with everything except for the compost bin, and I did make that clear legislative, and of course, it was more votes yes than no, so it went in, so.
Motion, one more time, vote.
One more time on it. The discussion went that people who pile leaves up and that's a compost pile. You have to have a fence around it. It has to be in the bin. I just think all of this is ridiculous.
Anybody else?
I thought the intent of this was so that we would encourage composting and using appropriate methods to compost. That was my understanding, and that's.
And I agree upon the majority of this ordinance. I totally agree with it. It helps with, promoting the compost. I myself do not care about the bin, the size of a bin that it has to be in. If we change that, I would be happy to accept it. However, with the bin having sides and top, I don't agree with that.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, question for
Yes.
clarification. So if the motion were to fail, does that mean we do not allow composting in our town?
No, the changes would be,
Or is composting
Go ahead.
still allowed?
Your ordinance still encourages composting, so composting would still be allowed.
Oh, this
If
just defines it more,
This
gives some
defines
guidelines
it
for it. Okay,
far-
follows the DNR rules for composting,
Right.
is what it does.
thank you.
All right, anybody else on the town board?
No, and I'm gonna be voting no against it also, mainly, like you said, just because of the strict definitions and
Okay.
bin.
All right, let's get going forward. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Nine.
Motion fails, goes back to legislative for further review. Item 11, adopt resolution 2017-25 to amend ordinance 8, animal code to add language to allow chickens on residential properties. Plan Commission has had this probably for 2 years now, Patty?
Sure.
Or maybe even more.
I think
We
more.
finally have what is believed to be a working resolution for ordinance. Would allow for up to 6 chickens,
Right.
no roosters. Sets the requirements that it has to have a state license, gets a license prior to having the chickens at the town, sets the procedure up for how they're caged, how they're kept, sanitation requirements, and a bunch of other secondary items. Is there any discussion on it?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2017-25. I'll second that motion.
Motion Dan, second Patty. Other discussions?
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, second Bill? Dan, Bill.
I will be voting opposed to this. There's a reason why the town has a zoning ordinance, and I had a few calls that were received to me that people were not happy with the idea that we were going to allow chickens on residential properties. The other piece that is discouraging to me is that in our zoning ordinance, we are allowing 1 unit of chickens for the farmer who has 5 acres, or the property of an egg-zoned lot who has 5 acres, but we're allowing nearly that same unit on a half or perhaps less than a half acre. So just wanted to clarify why I'd be voting opposed.
Any other discussions?
I will be voting yes on this. I just think there are people right now that have chickens in this town and want chickens in this town that live in the residential, but we have no license for cats. You can have any number of cats you want, and the town says nothing about it. Maybe they'll eat the chickens.
Is that your campaign pledge for the year, or what?
If you're campaigning,
Enough said, I guess. All those in, yeah. All those in favor of resolution 2017-25 to add chickens to the ordinance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Aye, opposed. Motion carries 3-2. Item 12, Resolution 2017-26, amend Ordinance 39, regulating schedule of fees to add language for chicken permit fee. Just a fee, $35 initial fee and $35 a year for the having the chickens. Is there a motion to come forward?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2017-26.
Motion Dan, second Bill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I'm opposed. Motion carries 4-1. Approval of fire, item 13, approval of fire chief Don Bone and 3 fire inspectors attend Wisconsin State Firefighters Inspector in Green Bay, Wisconsin on 10/24 to 10/27, approximate cost $1,100. Motion Bill, second Kathy. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Item 14, discuss a petition for a streetlight request at 45th Street South. We have a petition with a number of signatures. I guess I didn't count them. Anybody know right offhand how many signatures there were?
no, I don't, but it's people within 500 feet of the
13.
Okay, 13 residents of the area. Brian, I think you wanted to speak on this. Is that correct? Brian O'Donnell?
1320 45th Street, south, north, at night, north of my house is, it's darkness can be when the sun looks down and it's, more and more cars are going by that using that, it's called Daily Road.
Okay.
And it's just plain, it's just plain dangerous, yeah. And it's all but dark down there.
Okay, go ahead. Shirley, I believe you were the...
Yeah, I was, for the obvious reasons. Brian stays there overnight by himself, and it's, very dark down there. And he's, and for his security reason, his peace of mind, let's say, I think it would behoove the town board to approve Brian's request on this.
Okay. Board members, thoughts?
Do we have any information on, it does state in the ordinance that if a street light is installed, it can be assessed to the property owners, the installation cost, but do we have any information on budgetary impacts for ongoing maintenance, utility costs, et cetera?
The county, and Bill, you probably know the answer.
No, we have one on 45th and right on our corner, and the town pays for that. When the lights goes out, there's no maintenance fee or anything, they call it. And
The typical water and light agreement is that the parcel or whoever is paying for the light after it's on there, the town is assessed, I believe it is $6 a month per light, and the town eats those in our street lighting account. But the initial installation is responsibility of the petitioners. Is that correct from the ordinance, Kathy?
Correct. Well, excuse me, but the petition is written under section 41.2B, which Brian is requesting, that the town board assume those costs.
Mr. Chairman, it may be written in your intent under there, but under 41.5A, requests for streetlight installations, either to be considered on the priority list, to be assessed to property owners, shall be submitted to us prior to July 1st, and B, or where was the other one? The other one was, let me find the one where it was about the streetlights installation cost. Let me see. There was another section in here, where is the one
Yeah,
about-
I read it too.
Here we go,
The attorney would like-
41.2. Proper petition by majority of public owners in the affected areas, cost of such installations shall be levied through special assessments placed upon properties in the affected subdivision or area.
Nick, do you want to comment?
Yeah, and I would just make one other comment. It was mentioned 41.2B, and that specifically states the town board at its discretion or upon petition of property owners may assume a portion of the cost along of those streetlights, and then it does say only for compelling reasons, such as severe traffic or other safety hazards. So that's only a portion of the cost, and it would be taking into account the reasons, and they must be severe traffic or other safety hazards.
Okay.
Well, if I may, I would hope, under the circumstances, that the town board would,
I'm waiting for a motion from the town board, so I'm not sure what the motion is.
Yeah, okay, well, under the circumstances, why not the town assume these costs?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not afraid to respond to that comment, and that being, and I don't mean this in any insensitive way, sir, but if we had every resident in this town who feared in their corner of their street that they were worried about the darkness or whichever, this is going to open Pandora's box, and we are going to have many more streetlight installation requests. And we did have one a while back on Griffith and
Country Village Drive, we've had requests, but that was never came through.
And none of them passed through. And I don't mean it to sound insensitive, but the reason for installing a street light should not be for how you describe. In my opinion, it should be, if anything, then it should be taken under consideration. We should be talking with our police chief and finding out any traffic patterns, accidents, issues, safety hazards, etc.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the town install a light there and pay for it.
Motion has been made by Dan. Is there a second? Or Bill? Excuse me. Is there a second to the motion? Hearing that the motion fails, and that would be for the town to pay for it, is there any other motions to be offered?
Well, I don't even know what the cost of it
Yeah.
is to, I would like to know what the costs are so that I can make more of an educated
Do
decision.
you wish to table it to the next agenda?
Could we?
Yes, you could.
All right.
I could find the cost.
Would you be able to?
Yes, I could.
I'd like to table this to the next meeting so that we can find out the costs and we can determine if, what our motion would be.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion been made, seconded to table it for further discussion to determine what the cost of the light would be. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed? Okay, we'll see what we can do.
All right, I just want to say, just thank the board for taking
Okay, we
into
will,
consideration.
we'll give it consideration. Okay, item 15 is our June disbursement vouchers. You all have them, I've gone a chance to read them, looked at all the items, and is there any discussion on them, or is there a motion, or no motion, is there any questions, I guess?
I have a question. What is a CTR tire for $1,032?
Which account is that charged to?
Account number, I'm not quite
The CTR tire, you mean the
Yeah, it's
vendor?
on page 2 of the vouchers. It says, it's right on the top of the page, CTR tires, $1,032.
That's the item description.
Yeah.
Vendor is Auburndale Recycling Center. Did that have something to
Okay.
do with your,
Oh, that's our
choose to
tires,
reuse?
that's our
Oh, CTR, choose to reuse.
Oh, okay.
And that was,
Perfect.
that was not just choose to reuse tires, by the way,
That was
a lot of the other
a lot of
tires we
the
had
other
at our,
tires.
yep.
Okay, that was that dollar amount.
Okay, that's what it was.
All right,
Any
thank
other
you.
discussion? If not, we'll pass it around for signatures.
Thank you.
And we'll move to item 16, which is our liquor licenses, and we have
Operator license.
operator licenses, and we have recommended approvals for Rachel Collier, Skylar Gehring, Jasmine Q,
Cute.
Corey McKay, Douglas Pye, Anna Polanski, Wendy Staben, Christina Walhorf, Adams Webster. We have a recommended denial for a Justin Zinkert. That was recommended by the police chief. Zemke for denial.
Mr. Chairman, I will approve the operator licenses as recommended and deny the license as recommended.
Motion by Kathy, second by Dan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have an aye, any opposed?
Excuse me.
Yeah. Monthly reports, Public Works. Lake Avenue is been cold in place, recycled material was laid down, and then it was finished last week with a 1.75 inch top finish. It will need to shoulder after the road cures for a little bit. We don't want to put traffic too close to the edge for a while, and then it will need to be painted and striped. We also did the chip seal on 48th Street between Airport and Griffith Avenue. Contractor is still working a little bit on it, trying to get a little more of a seal on it in spots, so it's not finished yet. That will be striped this fall along when we do the rest of our striping. Crew's working on mowing, got pretty much all the mowing done. We have culverts to replace, that'll be later this fall. Any questions? William?
Okay. Westland subdivision, some of the residents there complained that the park was not mowed properly for the 4th of July, and that the weed whipping and stuff like that underneath some of the tables and stuff were not done.
Well, I can tell you that crew took care of when they got it on their time, and they,
This is what was reported.
okay, well,
Also,
duly reported that, some people don't even know that there is a park there, I guess, Westland subdivision.
those weren't the ones that reported it.
Okay,
And I know you got this complaint because the person spoke to me about it, and one other, that when you come on the roads, ever since spring, when you come onto a road, there's always a hole right there, and he's asked that they get fixed around the town, and they haven't. I will get the names of the road if you need them, but,
Yep. Everyone that I reported to Rick has been taken care of, so if I missed one, let me know. It might not be perfect.
And I just want to say on Lake Avenue versus Wood Avenue, on Lake Avenue,
Versus Wood Avenue?
Wood Avenue. Wood Avenue from 48th Street to 52nd Street has 21 cracks all the way across it. In the same distance, and I don't know if you know when Wood Avenue was done, but it was done many years ago. And that goes up to 52nd Street, right off of 48th Street here. But when you go on Lake Road, that was just done last year,
Yep.
there's 109 cracks.
I counted them.
109 cracks.
I did talk to the county about it. They said that sometimes happens, and we are crack filling it this year when our crack filling service comes in, so we'll do a crack seal. The cracks actually basically fill themselves back in, but we are going to fill them, and so it will hold that surface in. So that's part of the budget that we have for crack filling this year.
It's what seems odd to me is the fact that Lake Avenue used to be a county road. And I just don't see how all that's cracked.
At 12 inches, it's got 12 inches of material underneath the bill, and quite frankly, we don't either. So that's why this year we tried a different process, which is cold-in-place recycling. And the recommendation of the County Highway Commissioner and the engineer was to do this other process, which actually is taking more of a subsurface down, actually down to 3 inches of grinding back up, laying it right back out flat, so you no longer have a cracked surface underneath it, and then laying the new surface over the top. He claims that their county highways that they did it on last summer did not show cracks this year, so that's why we went to a different design for it, and we hope that that's the better design to take care of the cracks so they don't show again.
One more thing. Somebody came to my house, a neighbor of mine, and said, why are they doing such a terrible job of mowing County Trunk W? And I says, Calendar Road. And I says, we don't do that.
Correct.
And they said, well, there's somebody out there mowing it, and there is up by, maybe it's the city and up by the ambulance and over by.
City takes care of part of that too.
Yeah, I know. So I went to the highway committee meeting the other day, and they said that anybody that cuts those boulevards or sides of the road has to have permission from the county to do that. I did not know that, but that's what was said at the highway meeting. We got blamed for a lousy job.
Yeah. Probably happens more than that. Any other questions on Public Works? If not, go to the Airport Commission, and I did put in front of you the activity for the airport last week and last month. If you look at the fuel sales are up 205% over last year, continuing to increase. The traffic on the back of it, I believe there is close to 20 jets that were in last month that were directly responding to Sand Valley for golf. I can tell you so far this month there has been at least a dozen in so far this month already. Traffic has picked up, a lot of traffic coming in to go to the golf course. There's also some business traffic jets coming in for businesses in Wisconsin Rapids, so it's not all necessarily Sand Valley jets that are coming in here. There has been some business that were coming in for a couple of the actual businesses in the town. We also had some 4 transport of helicopters for emergency situations where they landed in our airport to expedite transferring of patients to some critical care emergencies. And we had one actually from the Mayo Clinic all the way up here that was transferring to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Special request apparently. So, any questions on the airport? If not, I can also tell you that there's 2 construction projects. One I explained to you earlier last month that is will be starting in early August. The second project for next year, which is the rebuild of short runway, that is going out for bid right now, and the bids are due on August 17th for that. So we expect to have those 2 projects running back to back, and potentially another project in 2018, and 1 or 2 in possibly 2019. Any other questions?
How was the door on the hangar? Is that all?
It's off.
Not repaired?
No. Some of you may have heard from last month that we had an unfortunate accident where somebody had a medical condition and drove through our hangar door, which is 60 foot wide and I don't know how many feet tall, but totally ruined the door. The issue is the primary rebuilder that makes that type of door is in the process of moving from one plant to another plant, and they are not set up for production yet. So we are waiting for another design, which we believe we have another quote coming in the next week or so. Hopefully we'll get the insurance to go ahead and start the project.
Took out that door and a plane and went out the back side of it.
Yeah.
Made another door.
Unfortunately, it was pretty serious accident. Any other comments? If not, we'll move to recycling and solid waste. Bill, what do you got?
Nothing on that.
Okay, Plan Commission, Patty, we just met.
Right, pretty much the things that we had our public meetings for the Jennifer Lang, the Blooming Onions, Todd Pomader's certified survey map. Let's see, there was the Ferwellen vending truck for J2 Catering, and we were talking about putting on our, to answer your question about the business permit, we have that on our agenda for next time to be able to discuss that, to get that wheels going on that.
Okay, any other discussion or questions on the Plan Commission? Not move to public buildings, Dan?
We did meet. We did talk about some lighting issues that we got mainly in this building, and also the police chief brought up some concerns about future expansions and where the direction that the town is going to go with this building. I agreed with everything that he had to say. I mean, they're running out of room here. We're packing them in, so we're going to just take a look at possibly some different options and go from there.
Okay, any questions? If not, we'll move to legislative and see, was that meeting last month or the month before?
That was June 20th, right after Board of Review, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, we did meet in the ordinances that were corrected or changed were adopted this evening.
Right.
Okay, public safety, Kathy?
No meeting.
Economic development, Patty?
We didn't meet as a committee, however, with the Southeast Wood County groundwater, Bill had attended, I wasn't able to attend.
I give you a copy of the minutes, and one of it was, I think it was
Right.
17 people there, and Representative Krug was also there talking about the legislation on water matters down in Madison. And also another one that was there was Scott Provost, who is the DNR water person around here. He lives in the town of Graham, and he's quite busy with water regulations. And it was very interesting conversation that he had about the water situation. It's ongoing, and I I believe it's going to expand more now. We have a lot more farmers attending the Southeast Wood County Waters Committee and county board supervisors, and we hope to have more town officials attending it.
Any questions?
This next meeting is the 31st of July.
Personnel Committee? Meeting? WTA meeting, we were the hosts for the meeting. I believe we had close to 50 people in attendance. We had Regional Economic Development update by Rick Bacoka, who is their new president, explained the opportunities for all businesses to take advantage of some of the things that Sand Valley is growing. Sand Valley is using local food providers, local farmers to provide, local bakeries to get their meals prepared, and opportunities abound for them. Is there anything else on there? Not, we'll move to reports from individual town board members. I'm going to ask Nick to give us an update real quick on some of the new legislation that the buildings have to go through.
Not exactly totally new. You may have heard about it, but I wanted to give you an update because you'll be hearing more about it in the second half of this year, inevitably. So Act 211 is what I'm going to report on. Act 211 is related to building permitting requirements and reporting, and what that put in place were two requirements. One was a 2017 requirement that took effect in January of 2017, and that was a requirement for the Department of Safety and Professional Services to put together a online permitting system for building permits. That has been put in place. That is live now. The second requirement is specific to the municipalities. That requirement doesn't go into effect until January of 2018. I believe it's actually January 6th, although if you look at some literature, you may see January 2nd. I believe that has been adjusted to January 6th. Either way, what that puts in place is three things that are specific to reporting. One is either signing up and using the DSPS online application form. The second is if a municipality has an online application form already, getting that verified with DSPS and basically making it so the reports are generated automatically, because the DSPS system does generate those reports automatically. And then the third requirement is a Excel spreadsheet put together by DSPS that it requires monthly reports, so it still allows a bit of offline, but is quite a burden for meeting the requirements of the actual reporting that really would just be generated automatically with an online system. Over the last couple months, I've met with the zoning administrator to review those requirements, review the system that has been put in place. Recently, we did get approval and got signed up from the Department of Safety and Professional Services. We do have an account now. That's going to be a requirement whether no matter what of those three requirements we end up going with, we need to get registered with them. We are now registered with them with a password. We also went on the online application and went through a couple hypothetical situations to see how that actual online application that DSPS put into place kind of flowed or meshed or didn't mesh with our current application. I am happy to report that it actually is question for question in the order even of our application, making it very very friendly to make that adjustment over to using their permit application if we choose to do so. The one other nice thing about the DSPS electronic application is that things that may have been filled incorrectly on our current application, the paper application, and Peggy would have to make adjustments to or contact. Now on the electronic application, it actually won't let them advance until they get it right, and so it saves a little bit of time on Peggy's side to make sure that that information is accurate and correct. The offline requirements that we have in place would still be in place, and that would actually be the trigger, if you will, to know that an online application has been submitted. So none of that would change. The reports would be automatic. What is being done right now is review of our total packet to see what would be changed, and I believe then At that time, the zoning administrator will submit something to you for your review. But I wanted to let you know where it was in the process, because inevitably you're going to start hearing about it, because the deadline is January of 2018 to have that in place in one of those three ways for the reporting. So we are well along in the process and perfectly in place to meet the requirements for January of 2018.
Excellent.
Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Bill, anything?
No.
Dan?
No.
Eddie?
Yes, I just want, I know it's a little far in advance, but Saturday, September 30th, in case people are looking for the clean sweep, they're going to have it at the Saratoga Town Hall between 8 a.m. and 12 o'clock. I've had some people ask me about the clean sweep. Grand Rapids is not going to do one, but Saratoga is, so.
I'm sorry, it's not Saratoga doing that, it's
Oh,
the
no?
county.
County doing it at Saratoga.
At Saratoga, okay.
Okay.
So, just so you know, it is September 30th between 8 and 12.
Okay, thank you. Kathy?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Amy, got anything? Just a comment that Nick has been working with Advanced Disposal to determine whether they're wishing to seek another extension or an extension to the contract. There has been language going back and forth, and it looks, so far it's looking encouraging, so we'll have more as it develops. All right, moving on to public input. Again, this is the wrap for the public input for the public. If you wish to speak to the board, 2 more minutes are allowed, limited total amount of 16 minutes. Anybody wishing to speak? Go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah, I'd like to file a formal complaint with the town board about the way I was treated earlier by a town official, town employee earlier in this meeting. I think what happened was totally inappropriate. In no way was my comment, my initial comment, against anybody. And to diss my service of 20 years because I didn't serve in a war zone is disgraceful.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
I got something. You know why I'm here.
No.
I'm trying to get the gun range back open. I did everything you asked me to do in the manner you asked me to do it in. I've come in and talked to you. I went out and got 60, 70 signatures around the gun range, as you asked me. And I'd like to see this come up on the agenda to where we can get it resolved. And I support the chief.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Not, we're going to move to item 20. This is a, go ahead. Mr.
Run ahead.
Oh, I didn't see those hands. Excuse me. Mr. Het?
Hey, once again, I'd like to offer my appreciation for those of you that explain how you voted the way you voted. It helps me to understand where you're coming from. I guess it helps us all. I'm guessing it helps us all
Okay.
understand that.
Is there somebody
Really
else?
appreciate it, so thank you for doing that.
Is there anybody else, Ron?
If I don't talk now, I can't talk the rest of the night.
That's up to your wife.
Then I'll wait.
You're okay. You can talk to the next item.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes.
So under my understanding for like our mobile businesses, for the various locations, that's, for in the future, you guys are gonna be looking at that, so we pay like a one-time fee, and we are able to choose a different location throughout the Grand Rapids area.
That's an item that the town board is contemplating doing in our legislative session. What will come out of the legislative session, I guess I'm unable to say that's what it will look like, but it could look like that, because quite frankly, several of the other municipalities do a one license type thing.
Right, that's why I was curious, because of course, the county line overlaps, and with us paying for a mobile license, that mobile license within the county gives us permission, but then we hit that red tape of,
Right.
I understand.
you know, I have no problem with a one-time fee, but for each location, we get prices.
Right.
I will keep an eye out for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll try to get you informed.
Thank you.
Okay, item 20 is for possible and discussion action of the Edgewood Acres subdivision drainage issues. And this is an issue that has come up with the residents having some drainage issue. There's a system that was put in, we believe, to be right around 1973, that's performing at less, what appears to be less than peak performance. They've asked for us to consider cleaning it. We met with those, and the sanitary district held a meeting and discussed it. The outcome of that was to seek quotes to do the work and determine if the town board is willing to accept any portion of the cost of this, and the the sanitary district has not met on it yet, but they're waiting to understand what the town board is willing to pursue. So what we have is two quotes in front of us. North American Services priced it out for $2,500, and that would be 2 men, 3 8-hour work days, so we'd have a total of 3 days of work at a price of $2,500. They also had a quote from the hydroblasters. They anticipated the cost to be $7,040. They chose to show 3 men for 32 hours, which is 4 days, et cetera, et cetera. So what we have is time for the board to discuss this. I guess the residents from Edgewood Acres is here, some of them, and I'm sure they're wishing to speak to us too. So I will recognize those. Go ahead, ma'am.
Martha Ingram, 66 NKKM. The quotes that you just read off?
Yes.
When you say they're willing to do the work, what is the work that they're willing to do for that cost?
What they want to do is jet blast the pipes clean, take pictures if they can. The issue is with water, if the color of it is not clear water, it's very difficult to do a camera image of it. They would attempt it if it's possible to take images. So they would take 2 trucks. One would be a reasonable size unit, and then more powerful jet blaster in case they got into areas where they needed to do that. Now, besides them doing the work, the town crew would be very in working with them, because the town crew would have to remove all the covers, et cetera, et cetera. Bill?
You know, the quotes for this, quotes for this. How do we know we're gonna do that stuff? And all we got here is, and I'll tell you, it just happened at the county level. We got a quote for $7,500 and it ended up costing us $10,000. We got another quote for $15,000 and it ended up more than that, $25,000. So, I don't understand this, why the people that are gonna do this, why we're not questioning them on what's to be done. I really think is what should be done, because we already started it by some document that we received from 1973. It looks like the town is involved. I think we should be helping these people out, but we're more worried about who's gonna pay for it, and I don't think that's an issue at all. If the town's gonna help out this, because we're involved, we spent $600 already, why don't we just go in there and do it with one of these and get what they're going to do? How do I know that this includes the town going in on it?
Because I was there with our crew during the time we took these people around and showed them exactly what was there. They told us what they would do and what services they would need help from the town, including the crew to lift the pipes or the covers, provide them with water, so they aren't having to break down every 300 or 300 feet to go get more water. We'd provide water for them so that they can continue the process. We don't know if this is going to take more than 3 days. We don't know that. But what we have in front of us is an offer to do 3 days worth of labor at $2,500 with the equipment. So I don't know how much more clear we can be on it, where the other one says he thinks it's going to take 4 days, okay? But at 4 days and using his rate, dividing it down to the number of days, it's still more expensive than the first one if we had to stop and then reassess to see how many more days we need to go to work on it.
Because he has indicated he needs 3 men each day versus this first one has 2 men each day.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Dan.
It is my understanding on this that when they looked at the work, they believe, with good intent, that this is what it will take to clean those pipes.
Exactly.
Period. You know, they looked at it, they're not gonna give you a quote for half the work. They're gonna, and he initially thought this is what it would take to get it done. They don't know what, once they get in there, but this is, they do this, I don't wanna say every day, but this is their profession.
Go ahead, way in the back, you had a question?
Yeah, is that gonna be from up by Wood to the lake, or are they just gonna do a section?
No, their approach would be to use it coming from the lake, going backwards, all the way through the fingers. You have, if you go forward, you're just gonna plug, if you go from the top down, you're just gonna plug it up down below. So what they would do is start at the bottom, work their way up, and as they go, every few hundred feet, there's a manhole cover, they'd stop, and then they'd move to the next one and start working their way down.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Barry Ham, 2210 66th Street, so just wondering what kind of inspection was done for them to be able to say what work needs to be done. Was it scoped out by a camera beforehand, or did they just go by a distance and pull a couple covers off, or?
Yeah, basically what they did is we explained the system, we showed the drawings to them, what we had. They took that information and said, historically, when they do these cleanings, and they do a lot of this type of work, they felt that the size of the pipe, they know the size of the pipe, and they know what they're giving, and typically they don't have issues all the way through the pipe. It's typically going to be where there's been some cover, such as tree roots, et cetera. So a lot of the area is probably pretty free, especially when you get over in the field area by 64th. So it might not be any issues. Those sections might go extremely quick, and then they might get up into where they turn and go down Batavia. We actually cleaned the first part there with Buren's help and took a lot of roots out of there. But once we go farther up, get past Dale Kranz's and get to the end there, we don't know what we're going to find. But
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion that we spend $2,500?
You may.
to do this? I will make that motion, and let's get it done, and I'll worry about if somebody else is gonna help pay for it or not. Let's do it and get it done.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. I wanted to give Patty a chance, and then I know Mr. Layton there from Sanitary had his hand up too, so go ahead.
So
Patty?
my one question was, with this hydroblasting,
Mhm.
which is extreme pressure of water, did they make any indication about what it may do to the existing pipes?
They didn't express any concerns at all to us.
Okay.
Gil?
Same question.
Yeah, a couple of things here, Arnie. I guess number one, for the people that are here, I think we have to address these people, and it's got to be done by a public entity. They can't do it themselves. So it's got to be the town board, sanitary district, partnering. One comment so everybody kind of understands what's going on here. I have a monitoring well at my house, and since 1970, I've monitored the water elevations. Last week, 1.5 feet higher than it's ever been since 1970. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's part of what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a 12-inch pipe. The pipe may not be plugged. We had Buren in there to clean it up. So it's probably just about at capacity. Ron Bone is one of our sanitary board members, and he talked to me yesterday. I think he's got a pretty novel idea. They own some land to the north of there, and we've heard all of this about hard pan in the area and that holding that groundwater up in that particular subdivision. Part of the subdivision not having a problem, part of it having a pretty serious problem. So Ron, do you want to shoot out your idea?
Well, the property that I used to own to the north is a 40 away from the north side of the subdivision. And in my years of digging back there, the hard pan is approximately 10 feet down, and when dirt caves in there, it caves in big chunks. It's not like just sloughing in like normal sand. It's big chunks that just go whoosh, like going off a thing. So that's the problem with the water. And over the years, I dug in Wally Brown's by his barn, which is Mike Smith's there now. And there, the sand hard pan is roughly 5 feet down. And the elevation of the land is nearly similar. So I'm thinking that that is holding that water up there. So if you could break that hard pan up, you might have a very long-term cure for it and not have it go in a pipe and be relied on roots and all that stuff. Couple options, just dig a big ditch down through there and fill it back in. You broke the hard pan up and just allow it to seep down in. Another thing is to come in with, trucks and auger big holes and fill the holes with gravel and fill them back in, just to break up the hard pan. Didn't do estimates, that kind of stuff. You'd have to get permission from the landowners that you can without being in an area that you got a lot of wires and stuff. But it might head the water off before it gets to the subdivision, because the flow of the water is from the northeast going southwest.
Okay. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Me?
Yes, go ahead, Shirley.
When this pipe was put in, did the DNR give approval for this pipe? Or did?
Well, they have a letter, so they certainly were aware of it, because we had some, I don't have that letter in front of me, but the state was involved in it at some point in time, yes.
So I find it hard to believe that, with a water body like that, don't you have to notify them that something's being done? How could that pipe been put in there with chemicals and lawn fertilizers and pesticides and you name it being put on lawns, and now that's going into the lake?
I can't answer that question because I was not on the town board in 1973. No members of the town board are around here anymore. I searched the town board records for that. Did not find any town board meeting minutes. Sanitary district was formed just after this pipe was put in, so they have nothing, no records of it. But we found the invoices for where the work was done. Town paid them.
But so in order, you're saying that you're not going to contact the DNR because you're going to do something here that might affect the lake, and you're saying you don't have to?
I don't believe we have to. That's a drainage pipe that's been there for years. All we're doing is cleaning it.
It shouldn't be an issue, Shirley.
Pesticides and all that shouldn't be an issue?
Well,
I would think the DNR would find it an issue.
I don't think cleaning is gonna change what's going in presently.
Well, I'm saying, I find that a concern, that whatever, that this pipe is being allowed to be there because all these years, that's flushed through there.
I think in this $2,500 estimate with these people, and I've heard it here, they do a lot of this work. They must know those rules and regulations, and they're the ones doing it.
That's exactly right. Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded. Go ahead, ma'am.
One other question, on the bids that you have?
Yep.
Do they have any timing listed on there as to when the work would be performed?
No, but we'd have to schedule that with them and see when their schedule is. I know they have a fair amount of work that they're doing for what used to be Orida. Now the name escapes me right now. McCain's, but I know they're scheduled to do some July work for them for a large amount of work, but we get with them and see if we can get it in as soon as we can. We'd like to give it a clean now before we get winter.
And where would these funds, is this from the town budget then that would come up?
That's what the motion is right now, is right at the time the motion from William is to pull it from the town board funds. Go ahead, Dan.
And then could we go and ask the sanitation, we're gonna pay for this one way or the other. I mean, that's irrelevant, but could we come to the sanitation district and see if they would be willing to split it or?
You can ask them. Go ahead. Mr. Head?
I haven't heard the word right-of-way mentioned here, and it may not be an issue, but I'm assuming the pipe is on town right-of-way.
Yes.
If it comes to the point of being plugged by a tree root or something like that, you may be off the right-of-way, and
Right now, we got plenty of room.
not an issue, I guess, huh?
Right now, we got plenty of room in the right of way where it is. Mr. Layton?
Yeah, Arnie, are you aware when Beeren has come in and dug the holes for the French drains, how deep are they able to go with that rig?
When Beeren does for French drains,
Yeah.
They just did that one on airport.
yeah, I can't tell you the depth. I believe we typically go at least, I guess I wouldn't hazard a guess.
Yeah. They gotta be getting down 6, 8 feet.
Well, I think all of that, but I don't want to,
So that might be a consideration, you know, you clean the pipe.
we'll see what happens here.
and-
I think the long and short of it, let's see where this goes and then go. Anybody else? Go ahead, Mr. Lupke.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I want to thank you for addressing this, even though it took a lengthy period of time to get some resolutions, but the common sense approach is to do what you're planning on doing for us, the taxpayers, and we appreciate that. So if this company that you contract with gives us a blueprint when they get done, which they ought to be able to do through GPS nowadays with their tunneling equipment or cleaning equipment, whatever they got, but I want you to know it's appreciated by us that you're taking steps here to redress something that concerns everybody in that subdivision, basically. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? If not, the motion is made and seconded for the town board to pay it. We'll, as a side note, we'll consider asking sanitary district if they'll assist us. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries.
Who's gonna get on this?
I will get in contact with Northa.
Get on it.
There we go. Would you want me to call him tonight? Yet I got his cell phone number. He'll be there in the morning, 8 a.m.
Me too.
Next agenda item, anything specific, other than we'll have the lighting situation on there? If not, there's a motion in order to adjourn. Would somebody love to make that?
Second.
Kathy, Patty. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I am an aye. We are adjourned at 7:37. Thank you very much, folks.